The last day. The morning sun rose over Earth for what would be the last time. Dr. James Chen stood at his laboratory window, watching his 10-year-old daughter Sarah play in the garden. His wife, Dr. Lisa Chen, worked frantically at her computer behind him, checking the final calculations. "They're coming, James. The Zarkaf fleet just passed Mars." Lisa's voice shook as she spoke. "We have less than 6 hours." James turned away from the window. The secret bunker beneath their lab held humanity's last hope, 3 experimental deep space ships designed to travel further than any human had gone before. Only a few hundred people knew about them. Only a few hundred would survive. Sarah ran inside, her dark hair bouncing. "Dad, I saw more shooting stars." James's heart broke. Those weren't shooting stars. They were pieces of Earth's destroyed defense satellites falling from orbit. The Zarkaf were clearing a path for their planet-killer weapon. "Sarah, remember how we packed your special backpack?" Lisa knelt beside her daughter. "It's time to go on that space adventure we talked about." The little girl's eyes widened. They had prepared her for months, making it sound like an exciting trip. She didn't know they would never return. Alarms started blaring across the city. The sound of panic filled the streets as people realized the alien ships were visible in the daytime sky. James grabbed their emergency bags while Lisa activated the bunker's hidden elevator. The underground facility was already full of activity. Scientists and their families rushed to prepare the ships. These weren't military vessels. They were humanity's lifeboats, designed to carry the seeds of human civilization to distant stars. Dr. Chen, young engineer Mike Rodriguez, ran up to them. "Ship 1's engines are ready, but we're receiving reports. Other evacuation sites around the world are under attack. We're the only ones left." James felt the weight of this news. Their facility in Japan had been chosen for its hidden location in the mountains. The other sites in America, Russia, and Africa had been discovered. Their small group was now carrying the future of the entire human race. Sarah watched in wonder as they entered the massive underground dock. 3 sleek ships stood ready, their silver hulls gleaming under the emergency lights. Each one could carry 200 people and enough supplies to start a new colony. The ground shook. The Zarkaf were starting their attack on the surface. "Everyone to your assigned ships," Lisa shouted, taking charge of the evacuation. She had memorized every detail of their escape plan. "Remember your training. Stay calm." Families rushed up the boarding ramps. Some children were crying, but most stayed quiet, understanding the seriousness of the situation. The chosen survivors included scientists, doctors, engineers, teachers, everyone needed to rebuild human civilization. James helped strap Sarah into her seat on Ship 1. "Remember what I taught you about the stars?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "There are more stars than all the sand on all the beaches," Sarah replied, reciting their bedtime conversations. "That's right, and we're going to find a new home among them." He kissed her forehead, fighting back tears. The facility's sensors warned of incoming Zarkaf ships. They had been discovered. Lisa rushed to the control center, initiating the launch sequence for all 3 ships. The dock ceiling began to open, revealing dark clouds above. The ground continued to shake, but now it was from the ship's engines powering up. "James," Lisa called out, "the Zarkaf are directly above us." "Launch now," he ordered. "We can't wait any longer." The 3 ships lifted off simultaneously, their engines lighting up the underground dock. They shot up through the opening, breaking through the clouds into the upper atmosphere. Sarah pressed her face against the window, watching Earth fall away below them. The planet's surface was marked with burning cities and alien weapons fire. As they reached space, she saw the massive Zarkaf fleet, dark ships that looked like giant spikes pointing at Earth. The 3 human ships activated their experimental jump drives just as the Zarkaf planet-killer weapon fired. The last thing they saw, before jumping into deep space, was a blinding flash as the weapon struck Earth. Through the tears in his eyes, James made a silent promise. Humanity would survive. They would grow stronger. And one day, they would return. Sarah didn't know it yet, but her descendants would keep that promise. In 3,000 years, humanity would be ready for revenge. The hidden colony. 3,000 years had passed since Earth's destruction. Deep inside an ancient asteroid belt, hidden behind powerful cloaking shields, lay humanity's greatest secret, new terror. But this was no ordinary colony. The entire asteroid had been hollowed out, creating a massive artificial world. Rivers flowed upside down, held by artificial gravity. Gardens grew on the walls and ceilings. Towers stretched in impossible directions, connected by transparent bridges that seemed to float in space. Sarah Chen, now 30 years old, stood in the history chamber, staring at the only real piece of Earth left in existence, a small potted plant kept alive through 3 millennia of careful genetic preservation. It was a simple dandelion, descended from the one her ancestor Sarah had secretly kept in her pocket during the escape. "Commander Chen," a voice called from behind her. "The council requires your presence." Sarah turned to face the messenger, her dark uniform displaying the rank that made her the youngest fleet commander in human history. The uniform's fabric shifted colors slightly as she moved, modern camouflage technology that would have seemed like magic to her ancestors. The council chamber was different today. Usually a place of calm discussion, now it hummed with tension. Holographic displays showed their secret surveillance of the Zarkaf Empire. But these images were unlike any seen before. "The Zarkaf are dying," Admiral Wong announced as Sarah entered. "Their sun is going supernova centuries earlier than expected." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. After destroying Earth's surface, the Zarkaf had faced a slow decline. Their empire had grown weak, divided by internal conflicts. Now their homeworld faced destruction by natural causes. But what made this meeting truly extraordinary was what they had discovered in the Zarkaf's desperate attempts to save themselves. "They're trying to replicate our jump drive technology," Sarah's chief scientist explained, displaying complex technical data. "But they're making the same mistakes we did 3,000 years ago. Their tests are creating tears in space-time." Sarah studied the data carefully. The humans' jump drive technology had advanced far beyond its primitive beginnings. While the Zarkaf still struggled with basic dimensional physics, human ships could now navigate the space between spaces. "There's more," Admiral Wong continued. "We've detected something impossible in their failed experiments. They've accidentally opened a temporal rift to Earth, to the past." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Sarah's heart raced as she understood the implications. "We could save Earth?" someone asked. "No," Sarah replied firmly, surprising everyone. "We can't change the past, but we can use their desperation to our advantage." She walked to the center of the chamber, activating the main holographic display. With a few gestures, she brought up images of humanity's secret fleet. Hidden in pocket dimensions throughout the galaxy, they had built an armada that would have seemed impossible 3,000 years ago. "The Zarkaf are vulnerable," Sarah continued. "Their empire is fractured. Their technology has stagnated. They've grown complacent, believing they're the most advanced species in the galaxy. But humans, we've been busy." She revealed their greatest secret, the Phoenix Project. Deep within New Terra's core, engineers had spent centuries building something unprecedented. A massive ship, large enough to carry a significant portion of their population, powered by technology that could manipulate the fabric of space itself. "We've waited 3,000 years, Sarah declared. "We've hidden, learned, and grown stronger. The Zarkaf expect to find primitive refugees if they ever find us. Instead, they'll face an advanced civilization they can't comprehend." The council members watched in awe as Sarah outlined her plan. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about reshaping the galaxy itself. "But first," she said, drawing everyone's attention to a small device in her hand, "we need to deal with the traitor in this room." The chamber fell silent. Sarah pressed a button. and one of the council members suddenly found their adaptive camouflage uniform malfunctioning, revealing the distinct markings of a Zarkath spy beneath their human disguise. Chaos erupted, but Sarah remained calm. This was all part of her plan. The spy's capture would feed false information back to the Zarkath. The time for hiding was over. As security took the spy away, Sarah returned to the history chamber. Looking at the ancient dandelion, she made the same promise her ancestors had made. "We're coming home," she whispered. "And this time, we're changing everything." The first strike. The Zarkath never saw them coming. Sarah Chen's flagship, the Phoenix Dawn, emerged from what appeared to be a small moon, but the moon itself was an illusion, a pocket of folded space hiding humanity's revenge fleet. Battle formations, Sarah commanded from her gravity-free command sphere, floating in the center of the bridge. Modern human ships no longer needed chairs or traditional controls. Officers floated in perfect formation around her, their neural interfaces connecting them directly to the ship's systems. Their first target was Station K9, the Zarkath's largest shipyard in the outer systems. It was shaped like a massive crown of thorns, its spikes stretching for kilometers into space. 3,000 years ago, ships from this very station had participated in Earth's destruction. "Launch the Ghost Swarm," Sarah ordered. Thousands of small diamond-shaped drones poured out from the human ships. But these weren't ordinary attack drones. Each one contained a piece of revolutionary technology, the ability to phase through solid matter. The Zarkath's ancient defense systems activated, filling space with energy beams and plasma torpedoes. But they were fighting an enemy that had spent millennia preparing for this moment. The Ghost Swarm passed straight through the station's shields and walls as if they were mist. Once inside, they reformed into solid matter. The Zarkath workers stared in horror as human technology materialized inside their supposedly impenetrable fortress. "Begin transmission," Sarah commanded. Every screen and holographic display inside the station switched to show Sarah's face. She spoke in perfect Zarkath, her words carrying 3,000 years of waiting. "We are the children of Earth," she announced. "We have returned." But Sarah had no intention of destroying the station. That would make them no better than the Zarkath. Instead, the Ghost Swarm deployed their real weapon, the Truth Virus. The Truth Virus wasn't a weapon of destruction. It was a quantum-based information package that instantly connected to the Zarkath database. Within seconds, it began revealing the lies their leaders had told them for generations. The station's workers watched in shock as their own hidden history played before their eyes. They saw how their leaders had destroyed Earth not out of necessity, but out of fear of human potential. They learned how their empire had suppressed technological advancement to maintain control. "Commander," Sarah's second-in-command reported, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from the station's core." Sarah smiled. This was exactly what she had expected. Unknown to even her own crew, she had planted human agents among the Zarkath decades ago. Now those sleeper agents were activating. The station's spikes began to move, transforming. The crown of thorns was becoming something else, a massive transmitter. "To all Zarkath who can hear this," Sarah broadcast, "your leaders have hidden the truth for 3,000 years. But today, humanity offers you a choice." From the Phoenix Dawn, Sarah launched the second phase of her attack. Millions of tiny lights streamed toward the station, nanoscale quantum computers, each containing the complete history of both species and a vision of a possible future. But the Zarkath High Command wouldn't let their power slip away easily. A massive battle fleet emerged from hyperspace, led by Grand Admiral Keftal himself. His flagship was a planet killer, similar to the one that had destroyed Earth. "They took the bait," Sarah whispered. She gave the signal. Around the station, space itself began to ripple. The human fleet had not come alone. From dimensional pockets throughout the sector, massive shapes emerged. The ancient generation ships that had carried humanity to safety, now converted into living weapons platforms. But Sarah's true plan was even more surprising. As the Zarkath fleet opened fire, Their weapons passed straight through the human ships. The entire battle was happening in multiple dimensions simultaneously, with only Sarah's forces able to affect both planes of existence. "Send in the remembrance," she ordered. A single ship moved forward, smaller than all the others. It carried no weapons. Instead, it broadcast a signal that made every Zarkaf weapon turn toward their own ships. The truth was revealed. Humanity hadn't spent 3,000 years building better weapons. They had learned to understand the fundamental forces that powered Zarkaf technology and how to turn it back on itself. Grand Admiral Keth Toll's voice boomed across space. "What kind of weapon is this?" "Not a weapon," Sarah replied. "A key. Your ancestors locked away your species' potential, Admiral, with simply setting it free." As the station continued its transformation and the Zarkaf fleet hung powerless in space, Sarah opened a private channel to her lead scientist. "Phase 1 is complete," she reported. "Begin calculating the temporal coordinates. It's time we had a conversation with Earth's last day." The real battle was about to begin, not for revenge, but for the right to rewrite history itself. The truth revealed. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as Sarah Chen's message spread across every communication channel, quantum network, and telepathic frequency. But she wasn't just broadcasting to the present. The human fleet's temporal technology let her words echo through time itself. "For 3,000 years, two great lies have shaped our galaxy." Sarah's voice resonated across space. The Zarkaf believed they had destroyed humanity, and humanity believed we needed revenge. The Phoenix Dawn's main chamber had been transformed. In its center floated a massive holographic display showing both Earth's final day and the present moment side by side. Sarah stood between them, her uniform shifting between past and present states. "But the truth," she continued, "is far stranger." The chamber filled with gasps as Sarah revealed their most closely guarded secret. She lifted her hand, and her human appearance flickered away. Beneath it was neither human nor Zarkaf, but something else, a perfect blend of both species. "I am the impossible," she declared, "a child of both worlds, born through 3,000 years of secret cooperation between human and Zarkaf rebels." The truth unfolded like a cosmic flower. The Zarkaf Empire hadn't just been fighting humans, they had been fighting their own people. A secret society of Zarkaf scientists had helped humanity escape Earth's destruction, disgusted by their leaders' fear and hatred. The holographic display shifted to show vast underground cities on the Zarkaf homeworld, where humans and Zarkaf had lived and worked together in secret for millennia. The Phoenix Project wasn't just a human achievement, it was the result of both species working in harmony. "Your leaders didn't just destroy Earth," Sarah revealed to the Zarkaf people. "They tried to destroy their own future." She activated the remembrance device again, but this time it didn't just affect weapons. Every piece of Zarkaf technology began to transform, revealing hidden codes and patterns that had been planted centuries ago by the rebel scientists. Grand Admiral Keth Toll, still frozen in space with his fleet, finally understood. "The hybridization program," he whispered. "It wasn't a myth." "No," Sarah confirmed. "Your ancestors knew that both species were heading toward extinction separately. Humans had the creativity and adaptability the Zarkaf had lost. The Zarkaf had the advanced consciousness and temporal understanding humans needed. The station that had once built planet killers completed its transformation. It was now a massive DNA helix, broadcasting the true history of both species across the galaxy. But not everyone welcomed the truth. From the depths of Zarkaf space, a hidden fleet emerged. The true pure, extremists who had discovered parts of the truth and wanted to preserve the genetic purity of both species. Their ships were unlike anything seen before, powered by the stolen essence of dead stars. At their head was a figure Sarah knew well, her own brother, who had rejected his hybrid nature and chosen extinction over evolution. "You're not saving our species," he broadcast. "You're ending them both." Sarah's response was to activate the Phoenix Dawn's ultimate capability. The ship split into twin helixes, mirroring the transformed station. Pure human DNA flowed through one strand, pure Zarkath through the other. Where they met, something new was born. "We're not ending anything," Sarah declared. "We're fulfilling the prophecy both species forgot." The prophecy appeared in ancient text across space, writings from both Earth and the Zarkath homeworld that told of a time when two species would become one, unlocking the ability to restructure reality itself. But the true pure had one last weapon. They had found a way to tap into the temporal rift, threatening to change the past and prevent the hybrid future. Sarah looked at the dual timelines floating in her chamber, one showing Earth's last day, the other showing the present moment. The choice she had to make would affect not just two species, but the very nature of time itself. "You can't change the past," her brother taunted. "No," Sarah agreed, a subtle smile forming, "but we can invite it to join us in the future." She gave a command that had waited 3,000 years to be spoken: initiate Operation Genesis. The Phoenix Dawn began to pulse with energy that defied physics. It wasn't just a ship, it was a bridge across time, and Earth's last day was about to witness humanity's greatest triumph, the final push. Operation Genesis wasn't just a battle plan, it was the culmination of 3,000 years of preparation. As Sarah's command echoed through time and space, both the Phoenix Dawn and the Transform Station began to pulse with blinding quantum energy. "Brother," Sarah broadcast to the true pure fleet, "you still don't understand. We're not here to change the past or destroy the present. We're here to merge them." The true pure fleet launched their temporal weapons, missiles that could erase their targets from history itself. But Sarah had anticipated this. The Phoenix Dawn's twin helixes began to spin, creating a double helix pattern in space itself. "Show them what we really built," Sarah commanded. The Transform Station and the Phoenix Dawn aligned perfectly. Between them, space began to tear, not in destruction, but in carefully controlled creation. A temporal bridge was forming, large enough to connect 2 points in time. Through the tear, they could see Earth's final day. The Zarkath fleet that had destroyed Earth hung in the past like a dark mirror of the present. But Sarah wasn't interested in the fleet. Her target was Earth itself. "You can't save them all," her brother sneered. The energy requirements wooled. "We're not saving them," Sarah interrupted. "We're bringing them here." The truth of the Phoenix Project finally revealed itself. The ship wasn't designed for war. It was a temporal arc, capable of transporting an entire planet through time. But the true pure weren't finished. Their leader, Sarah's brother, activated his flagship's core weapon, the Null Seed. Reality began to unravel around it, threatening to collapse both timeframes into nothingness. Sarah's response shocked everyone. She started laughing. "Thank you, brother," she said. "You've just completed the equation." The Null Seed's reality warping effect was the final component they needed. As space unraveled, Sarah activated the Phoenix Dawn's true form. The ship's twin helixes merged with the station's structure, creating a perfect molecular bridge through time. In the past, Earth's final moments began to slow. In the present, empty space began to shimmer. Sarah's chief scientist, a hybrid like herself, explained what was happening. "We're not moving Earth through time, we're moving time around Earth." The true pure fleet opened fire, but their weapons passed through strange loops in space-time, hitting their own ships instead. Sarah's brother watched in horror as his own temporal weapons began to age his fleet into dust. But the strain on the Phoenix Dawn was enormous. The ship's structure groaned as it held open a gateway large enough to transport a planet through time. Sarah, her brother, made one final broadcast: "You'll destroy everything." The temporal paradox. "There is no paradox," Sarah cut him off. "Earth's destruction will happen in the past. We're just making sure it's not the end of the story." The Phoenix Dawn's engines reached critical levels. Warning signals blared throughout the ship. The temporal bridge was stable, but they didn't have enough power to complete the transfer. Then something unexpected happened. From all across the galaxy, ships began to emerge from hiding. The lost human colonies that had secretly established themselves over the millennia. Each one had been building its own power collection system, waiting for this moment. Streams of energy poured in from hundreds of sources. The true pure watched helplessly as their vision of purity was overwhelmed by an alliance they never knew existed. Final phase, Sarah commanded. Show them what humanity and Zarkaf can really do together. The temporal bridge exploded with light. Through it, they could see Earth's final day transforming. The planet wasn't just being moved through time, it was being evolved. 3,000 years of combined human and Zarkaf science were changing Earth at the molecular level, preparing it for its journey. But as the process reached its peak, Sarah's sensors detected something impossible. The temporal bridge wasn't just connecting to Earth's last day, it was connecting to every version of Earth that had ever existed or could exist. Sister, her brother's voice came through one final time. What have you done? Sarah smiled as the impossible became reality before their eyes. I didn't bring Earth to the future, she said. I brought every Earth to every future. The universe held its breath as multiple realities began to merge, and the true purpose of the Phoenix Project finally revealed itself, not to save one Earth, but to save them all. Revenge versus justice. Multiple Earths hung in space like pearls on an invisible string, each one representing a different moment in time, a different possibility. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Sarah Chen stood in the Phoenix Dawn's quantum chamber, watching reality reshape itself around them. All versions secured, her chief scientist reported. Past, present, and potential Earths are stable. But something was wrong. The temporal energy wasn't settling as predicted. The multiple Earths were beginning to resonate with each other, creating waves in the fabric of space-time. Sarah's brother, his true pure fleet, now reduced to quantum dust, appeared as a hologram in the chamber. His form flickered between human, Zarkaf, and hybrid states. You've done exactly what I hoped, he said, smiling. You've brought them all together. Now I can end all versions of Earth at once. The truth hit Sarah like a physical blow. Her brother hadn't been trying to stop her. He'd been guiding her actions all along. The null seed wasn't destroyed. It had infected the temporal bridge itself. Begin timeline collapse, he commanded. The space between the multiple Earths began to darken. Each version of the planet started to pull toward a central point, a singularity that would erase not just Earth, but the very concept of Earth from reality. Sarah's response was unprecedented. She activated the Phoenix Dawn's emergency protocols, but not to fight. Instead, she began broadcasting her own genetic code, the perfect hybrid of human and Zarkaf DNA, into the temporal stream. What are you doing? Her brother demanded. Showing you what father taught us, Sarah replied. Their father, the first successful hybrid, had discovered something profound about reality itself. Life adapts. Reality adapts. And right now, reality is about to adapt to us. The Phoenix Dawn's structure began to change. The double helix pattern of the ship started to replicate itself, growing like a living thing. It spread through space, creating a web of temporal pathways between each version of Earth. You're not just saving Earth, Sarah's brother realized. You're evolving it. No, Sarah corrected him. We are evolving with it. The hybrid DNA patterns spread through the temporal web, touching each Earth simultaneously. But instead of changing them, it was connecting them. Each version of Earth remained distinct, but now they were part of something larger, a temporal ecosystem. The null seed's destructive power was transformed. Instead of collapsing the timelines, it became the catalyst for their transformation. Dark energy became living energy. Throughout the galaxy, both humans and Zarkaf began to experience something impossible. They could see through time. Not just into the past or future, but into the infinite possibilities that existed between moments. Sarah's brother watched as his weapon of ultimate destruction became a tool of ultimate creation. "This isn't revenge," he whispered. "It never was," Sarah replied. "This is evolution." The multiple Earths stabilized, each one now a window into a different possibility. The present Earth, empty for 3,000 years, began to pulse with new life, not just human or Zarkaf life, but hybrid life that could exist in multiple times simultaneously. Sarah opened a channel to all species across all timelines. For 3,000 years, we thought this was about revenge. Then we thought it was about justice, but it's always been about transcendence. The Phoenix Dawn's final transformation began. The ship was becoming a living bridge between all possible Earths, all possible futures. Sarah turned to her brother's hologram. "Are you ready to understand what Father really created us for?" Before he could answer, a new signal appeared, one that came from everywhere and everywhere at once. A voice that was both ancient and newborn spoke. "The children of Earth and Zarkaf are ready. Let the true joining begin." Reality itself held its breath as the next phase of existence prepared to unfold. New beginning. The voice that echoed through all timelines wasn't a single entity. It was the combined consciousness of every Earth, every human, and every Zarkaf across all possible realities. But it was also something more. The universe itself had begun to wake up. Sarah and her brother stood together in the living chamber of what had once been the Phoenix Dawn. The ship had evolved beyond its original form, becoming a neural network that connected all versions of reality. "Look," Sarah pointed to the spectacular view before them. "This is what Father saw in his visions." The multiple Earths had arranged themselves in an impossible pattern, a cosmic DNA strand that spiraled through both space and time. Each Earth pulsed with a different frequency, but together they create a harmony that resonated through the fabric of reality. The time song, their father had called it. Now they could finally hear it. But the transformation wasn't complete. The ancient prophecy had spoken of 3 species, not 2. As Sarah and her brother watched, they understood. The 3rd species was being born right now, emerging from the space between moments. They called them the Time Weavers, beings that existed in all times simultaneously, born from the merger of human creativity, Zarkaf consciousness, and the living energy of the temporal bridge. The first Time Weaver materialized before them. It had no fixed form, shifting between states of matter and energy. When it spoke, its words traveled backward and forward through time. "We are your children and we are your ancestors. We are the bridge between what was and what will be." The true Pure Fleet's remains began to pulse with new life. The quantum dust of their destroyed ships was reforming, but not into weapons. Instead, it was becoming part of the living network that connected all realities. Sarah's brother finally understood. "This isn't the end of our species," he said. "It's their true beginning." The multiple Earths began to synchronize, but instead of merging into one, they remained distinct while becoming part of a larger pattern. Each Earth was now both independent and interconnected, like neurons in a cosmic brain. Suddenly, sensors detected a massive energy surge. A temporal wave was approaching, the echo of Earth's original destruction, rippling through time. But this time, they were ready. Together, Sarah said, reaching for her brother's hand. Their hybrid DNA activated in perfect harmony. The Phoenix Dawn's living systems responded, creating a new kind of temporal shield. As the wave hit, instead of destroying, it transformed. The wave became a catalyst, accelerating the evolution that was already in progress. Across every Earth, across every timeline, humans and Zarkaf began to change. Not into hybrids, but into something unique to each reality while remaining connected to all others. "Your revenge is beautiful," Sarah's brother admitted. "This was never revenge," Sarah smiled. "This was redemption." From the quantum depths of space, more Time Weavers emerged. They began weaving connections between the stars themselves, creating a living network that spanned not just space, but time itself. The original Earth, the one that had been destroyed 3,000 years ago, appeared one last time, but now they could see it for what it truly was, not an ending, but a seed that had been planted in the cosmic soil of time. Sarah opened a channel to all realities, all times, all versions of both species. Her words traveled across the temporal web, touching every consciousness. 3,000 years ago, we thought we lost everything. Today, we understand that loss was just the beginning of something greater. We are no longer bound by single moments in time. We are no longer limited to one version of reality. The Time Weavers joined their consciousness with the network. Through their eyes, Sarah and her brother could see the pattern of reality itself, an infinite dance of possibility and potential. Each Earth will continue its own story, Sarah announced. Each timeline will remain unique, but we will never be alone again. We are connected, not just through space, not just through time, but through the very fabric of existence itself. The Phoenix Dawn, now fully transformed into a living temporal nexus, began its final change. It was becoming a seed of its own, one that would grow into a new kind of universe, where time was not a line but a garden, and every moment was alive with infinite possibility. Sarah turned to her brother, both of them now beginning to evolve into something beyond their hybrid origins, ready to help me tend this garden. The universe held its breath, waiting for his answer, but in the end it didn't matter, because in some reality he had already said yes, and in the new existence they had created, every possibility was equally real and equally alive. The time song reached its crescendo, and the future, all futures, began.